Heated Rivalry is such a good watch. It has emotive actors, high stakes, and a goal that keeps the audience rooting for them. Let's explore communication under pressure in Heated Rivalry and draw some parallels in the startup world. This pressure comes in the form of two kinds: the external pressure to perform and excel in the game of ice hockey, as well as the internal pressure of dealing with new emotions and having to connect in secrecy. So in many ways, founders and entrepreneurs are no strangers to this kind of pressure. The cost of indirect communication. We think it's safer to not be direct. It's a way for us to suss things out without revealing our true feelings. But this indirectness sets us up for potential misunderstandings. For example, if your new hire is not up to mark, it would be preferable to tell them upfront to spur them to close the expectations gap. Instead, most founders take the wait and see approach, hoping there will be improvements over time. The trouble with this passive approach is that you are leaving things to chance, and if they don't improve over time, it leads to frustration for both parties. What's worse is this dissatisfaction in performance might manifest in passive aggression in meetings, built up resentment through small slights and behavior, and all because you never named your dissatisfaction. In Heated Rivalry, when Shane and Ilya first met, the sparks were obvious. Both had their guards up and their interactions were heavily influenced by physical attraction. They spoke superficially, never wanting to go deeper, never explaining their feelings or thoughts, and this led to confusion and second guessing. They expressed their interest through pointed comments with double meanings and channeled their affection on the ice. One can argue that this indirectness has led to increased yearning and longing, but imagine how much happier the characters would be if they were direct right from the start. Defaulting to your comfort zone. On the ice, Shane and Ilya express themselves through competition and physicality. They are assertive on the ice. They take up space, they go for what they want, and they are unafraid to confront. But off the ice, or when personal stakes are involved, they become passive. They defer. They become gun-shy, apprehensive, waiting for the other to make a move. They even go as far as to use other people to make each other jealous. For founders, this may look like you being confident and assertive about your company's vision, but when it comes to hard conversations like asking your co-founder for accountability or being unclear about your boundaries, thereby being wishy-washy, and also not expressing your expectations on compensation. It's a matter of going beyond what you're comfortable with, and the usual culprit holding you back is your thoughts. Shane and Ilya are both afraid to be honest and open because they are unsure of what the other wants, so if they state it outright, they might face ridicule and rejection. For founders, you might be afraid of how others will perceive you post the hard conversation. If you ask your co-founder for more accountability, they might feel attacked, challenged, or think of you as an aggressive taskmaster. And if you set your boundaries straight, people might think that you are inflexible, not fun, and overly formal. So your comfort lies in knowing how you want people to think of you. And you are comfortable with owning a certain personal image and controlling a narrative of how you are being perceived. And that comfort is threatened when you adopt a more direct communication tactic that might rub some people the wrong way. So a way to say what you want to say without threatening your sense of self is to tie in your values into how you communicate. For Shane, he told Ilya point blank during one of his frustrated moments. He said, this was definitely out of character and said because Shane couldn't take the ambiguity anymore. For founders, sure, you can hold back, but beware of the outbursts that is a result of the build-up. So have that hard conversation now and include a value of yours to ground the conversation. For example, if you want to speak to your teammate who isn't doing their best work, you can say, when I hired you, I saw these qualities of yours and they align with my vision for the company. And I'm proud of the work we do here because what we put out is thoughtful and whatever you want to say. Your recent outputs have not met my expectations, but I would like to understand your process so that we can work together to put something out that you and I can be proud of. Giving space is not the same as disappearing. In Heated Rivalry, Shane and Ilya's relationship growth spans 9 years, from their first meeting to being officially together in the cottage. They have certainly taken the term giving space seriously, and their distance serves to solidify their significance in each other's lives and to also grow their own self-belief, confidence, and assurance in themselves. It's all about meaningful space that helps you grow and relate to others better. For founders, you might be tempted to pull the card of giving space as a way to avoid the conflict and confrontation. This is tricky because if you use space as an excuse to avoid it, nothing is addressed. You're simply kicking the can down the road. Whatever tension you had remains, and the relationship might become more distant. So how do you give space without completely checking out? If it's an issue with your co-founder, it helps to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is whatever underlying conflict there is. Bring up time and space for mutual processing, and the key is to set a date to check in with each other in order to talk it through. So this is intentional space because you have a timeline and a purpose in mind. Intentional space is bounded, purposeful, and always anchored to a return to conversation. Inner scripts. Founders facing friction and challenges with their team often have inner scripts that drive behavior that isn't congruent to what they truly want. Some examples of inner scripts that cause distress and friction sound like, I need to be in control. If I'm not leading every decision, things will fall apart. Or, I can't speak up or challenge decisions. I need to be agreeable. So these are inner scripts that some founders have. In summary, to avoid communication issues and to learn from Heated Rivalry, number 1, be direct. Incorporate your values when you communicate to be aligned with what you need to say. Number 2, be comfortable with not being comfortable. And finally, take the intentional space so that you can be like Shane and Ilya and have a lovely cottage ending. I write and speak about communication, entrepreneurship, and intentional living through Scripting Life and this YouTube channel, where I explore how internal narratives influence external outcomes. My work focuses on sense-making rather than self-help, with an emphasis on clarity, reflection, and conscious choice. You can subscribe to my fortnightly newsletter and this YouTube channel for pop culture influence content on communication and entrepreneurship. Link in bio. Thank you so much for watching.